Okay, I'm starting now. In my previous video, I discussed about the basic terms related to the electric current, like what is electric current, Ohm's law, and what are the different basic terms which are related to the flow of electric current. Now, today I'm starting with as well as in my previous video we have discussed about the conductivity, conductance, resistivity, resistance, and the that color coding of carbon resistors. Now in this today I am starting about the resistivity. We will obtain the formula for resistivity, the expression. Okay, so as we have discussed that what is resistance? Resistance is the flow or is the opposition to the flow of current. And what is current? Current is the flow of charges. So resistance offered to the flow of charges is actually the resistance. So now, what happens actually in a conductor, that suppose this is a piece of conductor. So what is actually happening is it have several charge particles like this here. Now the conductor itself is having the charge particles, the free electrons which can move from one point to other. But when there is no electric field applied, when there is no applied electric field, hence there is no force exerting on the charges, these charges are moving randomly in different directions like this. They have a random motion in different directions, all these free electrons. Now what happens when we apply an electric field, suppose positive, negative, means we have applied the electric field in this direction. These electrons start to move again, start to move towards the positive terminal, means against the direction of electrons. Against the direction of the electric field. When an electric field is applied, these electrons feel the force due to the electric field, because F equals to QE. We already know that if electric field will be there, then the charges will experience the force. So when we apply the electric field, these charges, they experience a force and start moving in a direction opposite to the direction of electric field, means in this direction, like this. So what happens, they were already in random motion. Suppose this is this is one electron. Suppose if I take, for an example, suppose if I take this electron, then this electron was having a random motion in this direction when there was no electric field acting. So when an electric field starts acting, this electron does not reach here, it actually reaches at this point. Instead of following this path, because two different velocities are there, this electron is there, it was about to move in this direction, but due to the force, it experiences a force in this direction. So now the electron will move along the direction of the resultant of the two velocities. One velocity is this one, other is this one. So the electron will actually move along the resultant of the two velocities. So this electron which was supposed to reach here will not reach at this point, rather it will reach at this point. So it means that now what is happening here, that how much electron has traveled towards the positive terminal. I want to give you a proper example. Let me draw up.
Sir?
Yes.
सर ये दिखाई नहीं दे रहा सर साहब.
अभी मैंने पूछा था कि दिख रहा है तो बोला दिख रहा है. ओके.
सर मेरा तो ज्वाइन ही अभी हुआ है.
जस्ट ए मिनट. आप मुझे बता देना जब आपको दिखने लगे. यस. यस दिख रहा है
सर. बीच में से ब्लर पर हो रहा है सर, ब्लर हो रहा है सर थोड़ा थोड़ा.
भाई वो ब्लर तो आपके पास हो रहा होगा, मेरे पास तो बिल्कुल क्लियर है यहाँ पे. व्हाट अबाउट अदर्स? बाकी लोगों को दिख नहीं रहा है? तो
दिख रहा है सर?
दिख रहा है
मेरा
बात?
नेट कनेक्शन सर वीक होगा सर थोड़ा।
तुम्हारा-
आप बताओ सर, कोई नहीं।
तुम्हारा थोड़ा वीक हो सकता है, कोई बात नहीं, मैं इसकी फिर वीडियो भी सेंड करूंगा, ठीक है, डोंट वरी।
ठीक है सर।
ग्रुप में मैं डाल दूंगा, फिर वीडियो से आप थोड़ा सा हेल्प ले लेना।
ठीक है सर।
ठीक है, ओके ओके। सो आई वाज टेलिंग यू, सपोज now I will make a figure for single electron. Suppose this is a single electron and it was moving like this. Its random motion was this way, means it was moving upward. Suppose we applied the electric field and the electron is now having a velocity in this direction also, so it will move along the resultant of the two velocities. It will move along the resultant. So this electron which was supposed to reach here will now not reach at this point, rather it will reach at this point. So now this is, if you draw the perpendicular, then this distance here means the distance of that distance that electron has traveled properly, means in the horizontal direction. Here in this figure, the distance traveled by electron horizontally towards the positive terminal, that is called as drift. Okay, so when the electrons are in the conductor, when they are free to move, and when that conductor is placed inside the electric field, the electrons have two different types of motion. One is the random motion. This random motion which they were having because of their temperature, because of their heat. They had some heat inside them, due to that they have some energy, and due to that energy they have some random motion. This is their original motion before applying the electric field. Due to the application of electric field, they gain some extra velocity towards the electric field, and this velocity is called as drift velocity. So suppose if this length is x, this one, and suppose it takes t time from the electron take t time from here to here, from the original position to this point, then this drift upon the time taken will be called as the drift velocity. Okay, so for finding the drift velocity, you will not consider this distance that electron actually has traveled, but you will consider this distance which the electron has traveled towards the positive terminal. That will be your drift. So this is the drift, and this drift per unit time, this drift made per unit time is the drift velocity, which we denote by Vd. This is your drift velocity. Okay, so I think it's clear now that drift velocity is not about the electron distance traveled by the electron per unit time. It is actually the distance traveled by the electron towards the positive terminal per unit time. Okay, now there is one more term, and that term is relaxation time period. Relaxation time period, which we denote by tau. Now relaxation time period is, suppose this is your electron, it was moving like this, and after reaching at this point it suffers a collision with another electron and starts moving this way. Then here it again suffers a collision and starts moving this way or any direction. So what's happening, that an electron travels on a straight path until it suffers a collision with some other electron or with the atom of that molecular arrangement of the conductor. So when this time period between two successive collisions, what happened is the electron was moving here. This was the, suppose for an example, this was the collision number 1 here, and then this was the collision number 2. So the time period between them, the time period between two successive collisions. Now how many collisions an electron will suffer? It will be infinite number of time periods. So what we take is their average, because suppose here another collision takes place and the electron moves in this direction. So this is C3. Now again a collision and electrons moves like this. So this is C4. So a large number of collisions will take place. So what we take is the average of time period between two successive collisions.
सर
Yes.
सर मेरा कनेक्शन नहीं आ रहा तो सर मैं लीव कर सकता हूँ क्या, क्योंकि मैं दिखाई नहीं दे रहा कुछ भी।
ठीक है ओके ओके so the average of the time period between you found the this suppose T1, the time period between C1 and C2, collision 1 and collision 2, suppose this is T2, this is T3, this is T4. So you take the sum of all the time periods and divide it by the total number of time periods. That will be your average of the time period between two successive collisions, and that is called as the relaxation time period tau. That is your tau. That sum of all the time intervals between the collisions divided by the total number of collisions takes place. So this is your relaxation time period. Now we know about the two terms. One is drift velocity and other is relaxation time period. Now next is, what is the relation between the two? What relation they have? We already know that V equals to U plus AT. We have this rule. Now this V is, if you will consider, if we are taking only the drift of the electron, means how much the electron is shifted towards the positive terminal, then this V becomes Vd. Now what is U? U is the average of the initial velocity, because there are a large number of electrons. So you cannot consider for one single electron, you will have to take the U of all the electrons. You will take U of all the electrons. So how you will take that combined U? You will have to take the average of all the U. Suppose this is U1. U is the random motion, is the velocity due to the random motion, means before applying the electric field. So U1, suppose this is U2, this is U3, this is U4, this is U5, and U6, suppose we have like this. Okay, so U1, U2, U3, what will be the average of initial velocities? It will be U1 plus U2 plus UN upon N. This will be the average of all the average initial velocity due to the random motion. Now the thing here is how many electrons we have in a conductor. Means we once found that in 1 Coulomb charge, how many electrons are there? It is of the order of 10 raised to 19 number. Means 1 upon 1.6 into 10 raised to 19 electrons are there in 1 Coulomb charge. So it means that in a small charge also there is a large number of electrons. So it means a conductor will have a large number of free electrons. Now you can easily understand that in such a large number, if this electron is moving in this direction, there will be some other electron. You can simply assume that there will be another electron which would be moving just in opposite direction to U2, means with minus U2. So what happens for each and means when you will take the average of all these, what you are going to get is 0. Means the average of the random initial velocity will be 0, because again I am repeating, because whenever there is an electron which is moving in one particular direction, there will be some other, you can simply assume that there is another electron, there must be another electron which will be moving in just opposite direction with the same velocity. So they will cancel out each other because the number of electrons is so large. Okay, so because of this will be 0. So this term becomes 0 and this T becomes tau, so it is A tau. So this is the relation of Vd and tau. What is A? A is the acceleration acquired by the electron due to the application of electric field. When you will apply the electric field, some force will exert, and whenever there is a force, there will be some acceleration also. So this is the acceleration acquired by the electrons due to the force, due to the electric field. Now how much is A? A is equal to, we know that F equals to QE, and here Q is the charge of the electron, so E into E. Now it means MA equals to EE, right? Force is mass into acceleration into is equal to EE. So what is A? EE upon M. So it becomes EE tau upon M. This is your VD. This is the drift velocity expression. Okay. Okay, this is the expression for drift velocity. Now we will find out the expression for electric current flowing through the conductor. Suppose we have a conductor with cross-sectional area A, through which the charges are flowing such that with a drift of Vd. The charges are flowing through the conductor with a drift velocity Vd. A is the cross-sectional area of the conductor. Then let us suppose that N equals to number of electrons per unit volume. Since generally the conductors are can take a very long length also, like suppose we have wires, so wires have a very long length. So in that case it is impossible to find out how many total number of electrons are there. Rather you can easily find out what is the number of electrons per unit volume. Means per unit volume, how many electrons are there, you can easily find out. So N is the number of electrons per unit volume. Now how much will be I, the current flowing through the conductor? It will be number of electrons flowing per unit volume N, the number when multiplied by charge. I will not take this as small n. This is N is the number of electrons per unit volume. So N into volume of the conductor. This N is number of electrons per unit volume. When you will multiply this by volume, you will get number of electrons. So total number of electrons and multiplied with the charge of electron. What this term is, this is Q, the total charge flowing through the conductor. If you are finding per unit time, then T will become 1. Because Q upon T is I. We have already this formula, I is equal to Q upon T. Now, if you are finding that how much charge is, that means I, what is current? Current is the charge flowing per unit time. Unit time means this T will become 1. So this T is 1. Now how much charge is passing through it? That number of charges multiplied by the magnitude of charge. So number of charges is number of electrons per unit volume multiplied by volume into the charge. This is the value of I. Now what we need to find out is volume. So again, volume is cross-sectional area multiplied by the length of the conductor. So volume is equal to A into. Now what you are finding here, that volume of the charge which is flowing through the conductor. How much volume of charge is passing through the conductor? Now in how much time? Okay, once again let me tell you that volume is equal to cross-sectional area multiplied by length. Okay. Now how much volume of charge is passing through the conductor per unit time? That will be V upon T. Because why we are taking volume per unit time? Because we have this formula I where T is 1. So it means that per unit time you are considering this expression. So volume of charges flowing through the conductor per unit time will be this one, V upon T actually. And V upon T is A into L upon T. Now A into L is length upon time. Distance upon time will be velocity. And which velocity? Drift. Because with the help of drift velocity, the electrons are drifting towards that direction. So this is your volume of charges flowing through the conductor per unit time. So A into Vd is your this term. So therefore I is equal to NEA Vd. This is your expression for the electric current, and from here you can find out another expression for Vd equals to I upon NEA. This is another expression for the drift velocity, I upon NEA. Okay. So what we were having formula Vd equals to A tau. Now how much is Vd? Okay, and for A you can write E upon M tau. Now how much is I? I is equal to NEA Vd. For this Vd you can write this formula NEA E upon M tau. NEA, and for Vd you can write this formula E upon M tau. So this will be N E square A E upon M into tau. This is the expression for, this will become the expression for current if you replace Vd by this formula. Okay. Now we know that E is equal to V upon L, where L is the length of the conductor and V is the potential difference applied across the conductor. Electric field, we had that formula V is equal to ER. So from there we obtained this E equals to V upon R. Here R is equal to the length of the conductor. So E is equal to V upon L. Okay. So I becomes, now replace this E, NE square A upon M into V upon L into tau. NE square, this E is replaced by V upon L. Now we have this formula V equals to IR. So R is equal to V upon I. So I bring this term here, or simply I will write like this, I upon V, this V I bring here, NE square A tau upon ML. This is the expression for I upon V equals to 1 upon R. So 1 upon R is equal to NE square tau upon M into A upon L. We get this? If I take the reciprocal of this end, this expression, then what I get is R is equal to M upon NE square tau into L upon A. Now we had that formula R equals to rho L upon A. So R is here, L upon A is here, so it means this term should be equal to rho, and this means that rho is equal to M upon NE square tau. This is expression for resistivity of a conductor, where M is mass of the electron, N is number of electrons per unit volume, number of free electrons per unit volume, E is the charge of the electron, and tau is the relaxation time period.
Sir?
Yes.
सर ड्रिफ्ट वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन क्या होती है?
ड्रिफ्ट वेलोसिटी, बेटा आपको बताया, ड्रिफ्ट वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन इज ऑलवेज अपोजिट टू द डायरेक्शन ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड. If suppose you are considering a negative charge for the electron, for positive charge it will be along the direction of the electric field. Means direction of drift velocity depends on that for which charge you are considering. But what I took here is the general condition. In general condition, electrons are free to move. The positive charges means the protons are not free to move from one point to other. Okay, so that's why in this case for the electron the drift velocity direction will be opposite to the direction of the electric field. For positive charges it will be along the direction of the electric field. Okay,
Okay, sir.
All right.
Yes.
You can simply see na, that I told you that what is drift. Drift is, suppose this is the electron. So if you apply an electric field like this, means electric field in this direction, if this is an electron, then electron will be attracted towards the positive terminal. It will move towards the positive terminal. So the velocity with which electron drift towards the positive terminal, that is drift velocity for the electron. So its direction is, what is the direction of electric field? Left to right, positive to negative, and where the electron is moving, opposite to that. So for electron, the direction of drift velocity will be opposite to the direction of electric field. For positive charge will be attracted towards the negative terminal, so it will move towards along the direction of the electric field. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is the expression for the resistivity of the conductor. Rho equals to m upon ne square tau, and this expression is important. This expression is very important from the derivation point of view. Generally, they in that board exam, they generally ask to derive the expression for resistivity. From here, simply you can say that what will be the expression for conductivity, and we know that conductivity is 1 upon resistivity. So it means it will be ne square tau upon m. Just take the reciprocal, and that will become the expression for conductivity. So you can see here that rho is inversely proportional to n. Rho is inversely proportional to n means more the number density of free electrons in the conductor, less will be its resistivity. And that's why the conductors they have low resistivity value, because in conductors they have free electrons. They have the free electrons more in number as compared to the insulators doesn't have any, and semiconductors have lesser number of free electrons to move. That the number density of free electrons for semiconductors is lesser as compared to the conductor. So simply resistivity depends inversely on the number density of electrons. As well as you can see from here that rho is inversely proportional to tau also. So tau means the relaxation time period. Now, on what thing this relaxation time period will depend? Suppose in a conductor, this relaxation time period is the time interval between two successive collisions. Now, suppose the electrons in a conductor are moving slowly in random direction. If they will move slow, then what will happen? The number of collisions per unit time will be low, because they are moving slowly, and after a large time they will collide with some other electron. So when the electrons will move slow, when the random motion will be slow, in that case the relaxation time period will be large, and therefore this resistivity will be low. So it means that when the conductor is cold, what will happen? The relaxation time period will be large because electrons would be moving slow, and therefore the resistivity will be low, and hence the resistance will be low. Now, if the temperature will be high, suppose when we pass current through a conductor, it becomes hot. So what happens is, when it will become hot, means they have a large amount of heat energy. Due to that energy, they will start moving in random directions very fastly, and hence they will undergo the collision frequently. The number of collisions will become more frequent. They will collide quickly with each other, and hence the relaxation time period will decrease, and therefore the resistivity will decrease and the resistance will increase. So that is why in our electrical circuits in our house, we use the copper wire, because it does not get heated up very quickly, and unless and until the conductor does not get heated up, its resistance will remain low. So that is the reason. Okay, then there is another term which is called as mobility. There is a term called as mobility, mu. It is denoted by mu, and it is nothing but, its definition is very simple: drift velocity acquired by the charge per unit applied electric field. How much drift velocity a charge will acquire for per unit applied electric field. Okay, now what is the expression for Vd? Is equal to E upon m into tau. So what is the relation between Vd and m? The drift velocity is inversely proportional to mass. So this drift velocity, if mass will be low, suppose mu is equal to this value. If you suppose you keep this electric field, suppose I keep the electric field fixed. If I keep this as constant, means a constant electric field if I apply, then mu will be proportional to Vd. Mobility will be proportional to the value Vd. Now Vd is inversely proportional to m. So can you say that mu is inversely proportional to m? Now whose mass is more? Proton or electron? Electron's mass is less as compared to proton. So for the electron this m is low and therefore mobility will be high. So, and what about proton? So proton's mass is high, so its mobility will be low. That's why the electrons can easily move. They can easily move from one point to other, and protons, their mobility is very small. They have low mobility and they cannot move that much fast like the electrons. So this is called as mobility, and the expression is, you can just improve it, use this formula here, E tau upon m and into E. Both E will get cancelled. So mu is equal to E tau upon m. E is charge of the electron, mass of the electron. So mu depends on tau. Tau is the relaxation time period. Now next term is current.
सर मोबिलिटी का मतलब स्पीड भी तो होता है।
बेटा मोबिलिटी का मतलब स्पीड नहीं होता है, मोबिलिटी का मतलब होता है, देखिए आप मुझे एक चीज बताइए कि कैन अ बस मूव फास्टर देन द बुलेट? यस, ओके, यू टेल मी सिंपली, हु कैन मूव फास्ट, अ बस और अ कार?
सर अ कार।
Because the reason is because the mass of the car is low. Okay, so if you fit equal size engine, means equal horsepower engine to a bus and to a car, the car will be more mobile as compared to the bus because its mobility will be higher. Reason is the mass is low. Have you seen the Formula 1 racing cars? They are so small in size that only one person can somehow fit inside the car. Okay, that's why we keep their mass small, and their engines are very powerful because they are designed to race. Okay, they are designed to participate in a race, so that's why. Means mobility is a you can say that how much mobile the particle will be, and it depends on the mass. Okay, more will be the mass, less will be the mobility. Suppose you have a big rock and you have a small, that you can say a piece of brick. That big rock, it will be very difficult for you to move that the big rock. It means that the big rock is less mobile. Its mobility is less. And a small brick you can easily move from one point to other point. That is why it is, you can say simply that its mobility is higher. Okay, mobility is how much drift velocity a charged particle can acquire. Right? This is the drift, this is mobility. How much drift velocity a charged particle can acquire is the mobility. The actual term is, because in that case we will have to compare with the electric field also, because one thing is, suppose I gave you an example like the bus and the car, but suppose if I fit a rocket engine inside the bus, then the bus will move faster. So we cannot compare a bus and a car in different situations. Means, what is the different situation? One is having a rocket engine and other is having a small engine, so you cannot make the comparison. Similarly, you cannot compare the mobility if your electric fields are different. Okay, so you will have to keep the electric field same. How can make it same? Suppose one is inside 10 Newton, suppose 10 Newton per coulomb, and other charge is moving in 20 Newton per coulomb electric field. One is moving in 10, other is moving in 20. So you cannot make the comparison. What you will have to do? You will have to make them equal. What is the process of making them equal? You just find out for 1 Newton per coulomb, means for 1 unit electric field and 1 unit electric field, what is the drift velocity of both the charges? So what we need to do is, and what is mobility? Mobility is how much drift they can acquire. But what we have to make similar is the condition. So what we do? We divide this by E. Why we are dividing it by E? Because we are finding drift velocity acquired per unit electric field. To make the situations similar, we divide it by electric field. Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Right? So because in order to make the comparison, you must have the situation similar. You cannot compare who will be more mobile, a bus or a car, given that a bus is having a rocket engine or a jet engine and a car is having a that ordinary engine, because aeroplane is so much big as compared to the car, but car cannot travel with the speed of the aeroplane. Reason is, aeroplane is having a jet engine. It's a so strong engine, the horsepower is so high that in spite of its so big size, it can still move faster as compared to the car. I think it must be clear now. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so now next is current density, and we denote it by the letter J. Now what is current density? Simple, from the word itself you can write the formula. Current, I, its density. Current flows not through the volume, but it flows through the cross section, because when we defined current, what was that? Charge flowing per unit time through any cross section of the conductor. Suppose you have a conductor, then you consider the cross section, and through that cross section, how much current, how much charge is flowing in unit time. That was your current. So current is defined over area. So the density of current is I upon A. The current flowing through the conductor per unit cross sectional area is simply called as J, the current density. Okay, so how we find out this J? The formula is J equals to I upon A. Now in some cases, suppose your current is moving in this way and your area of cross section is not perpendicular, rather it is like this. Yes, the cross sectional area is not perpendicular to the direction of the flow of the charges, but it is at some angle theta. Okay, we discussed in Gauss law that suppose this is the cross sectional area, what will be the direction of area vector? Area vector is always perpendicular to the area and outwards. So here area vector is along the direction of the flow of current or flow of the charges, but here area vector will be this direction, perpendicular to the area and outwards, and current is flowing in this direction. This is the direction of current. So what we will do, we will take the component of area along the direction of I, and that will be A cos theta. Okay, so in case your area is not perpendicular to the direction, area is not perpendicular to the direction of current, or simply you can say in case area vector is not along the direction of the current, then J is equal to I upon A cos theta. J equals to I upon A cos theta. Second thing is, this J is a vector quantity. Vector quantity, simply because I is a scalar but A is vector, and so what will be the direction of J? It will be along the direction of A. J vector is along A vector. The direction of current density is always along the direction of the area vector. Okay, what is the direction of this I? The direction of current is the direction of flow of positive charge, right? So in other words, you can say that J vector is along the direction of A vector, or is along the flow of positive charge. Okay, in which direction the positive charge is flowing, same is the direction of the current density vector. Okay, now for today's I will take the last topic and the rest we will discuss tomorrow. For today the last topic will be your Ohm's law in vector form. Ohm's law in vector form. What was the scalar form? Scalar form is V equals to IR, because V is a scalar, potential difference is a scalar, current is a scalar, and R is also a scalar quantity. So this is the scalar form of Ohm's law. We have a vector form of Ohm's law also, and we will derive that Vd is equal to E tau upon m. We are finding the drift velocity of the electron, so we will take a minus E. We will keep a minus sign because the charge of the electron is negative. So Vd equals to, for the drift velocity of the electron, the drift velocity is minus E tau upon m. E is the charge of the electron, capital E is the applied electric field, tau is the relaxation time period, and m is the mass of the electron. Now what is the value of J? J equals to I upon A, and I is equal to NEA Vd upon A. A and A will get cancelled and you get N. Okay, we have not kept the minus sign here. N minus E into Vd, and Vd is equal to minus E tau upon m. Okay, J is equal to N, A and A will cancel, I equals to, we obtained that formula, I is equal to NEA Vd. From there E will be minus E here, so N minus E A Vd upon A and A will cancel, N minus E and Vd is this expression we substituted here. So how much is J? J is equal to N plus E square E tau upon m. Now what was the expression for rho? Rho expression was, what was the expression for rho? It was m upon Ne square tau. Rho is equal to m upon Ne square tau. So what will be Ne square tau upon m? This will be 1 upon rho. So Ne square, simply I will write one more expression, Ne square tau upon m into E. Okay, so Ne square tau upon m is 1 upon rho. So J is equal to 1 upon rho times E. Now what is J? J is a vector quantity. E is also a vector quantity, direction from positive charge towards the negative charge. So this is your vector form of Ohm's law. From here you can write like this: E is equal to rho J. Rho will be multiplied here, or from here you can write 1 upon rho is sigma, the conductivity. So you can write J is equal to sigma E. J equals to sigma E, or E equals to rho J. They are vector form of Ohm's law. Okay, so today I will stop here, and tomorrow we will start the next topic, that is failure, the cases of failure of Ohm's law. Thank you. Okay, now